guys, in this video we're gonna be featuring Geiser Performance UTV. They make the clutch housing liner that we're about to show you guys. Besides that, they make a bunch of badass chromoly parts like front bumpers, rear radius rods and plates. They also make cages and door skins. Go check them out at geiserperformanceutv.com. And you know I'm always trying to save you guys some money. Use the discount code FRANKG for 10% off, and that's good till March 1st, so use it while you can. Let's get on to the video.
I like money.
Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video. Today we're talking about clutch housings. And as you can see there, CJ is aligning this clutch housing on this vehicle. This Can-Am MX-3, the belt ripped, blew out the housing, cracked it, and destroyed it. We'll show you guys how to take that off in just a second. We wanted to show you this Geiser liner that they make. This is a stainless steel liner. It's designed to fit inside your stock clutch housing. All right, so these X3s are really quick, especially if you get an RR model, or you have a single R, you get a tune, whatever it is, you're over 200 horsepower, these things are really fast. So that means the clutches are spinning really fast. And when they blow up. So the belt will rip apart, and upon impact hitting the clutch housing, it can crack and for the most part break. On mine, I know the belt went right through the clutch housing and broke everything. So on this one, if you have a liner, there's very less likely of a chance for it to break the housing. So it's an added measure, it's an added layer of protection, and I think it should work. So I've been on Facebook, a lot of guys says it works. Some guys say sometimes it'll still break the housing, it'll just transfer the impact to the housing, but for the most part I think it's a good idea, and it should save, you know, your housing from breaking. What do you think?
I think it's a good idea.
It's fairly inexpensive. What is it, like 150, 200 bucks? I don't know what it is. We'll leave a link in the description to Geiser's website so you guys can check it out. Well, you guys can see here, thanks Timmy, we have everything kind of just clamped down to keep it as tight as possible to the housing. You know, CJ's gonna hold it here in place. I'll use some vice grips, try to push it as far out as best as possible, because you know this is gonna add a little bit of thickness, and when you try and put it on your belt, it might be a little bit difficult. So they do supply you with hardware. I'm gonna use a drill bit and a right angle drill. It's gonna make it a lot easier for me, but you could probably do it from the bottom. Actually you can't, huh, because of the liner. So the holes are obviously on the liner, so you're gonna have to find maybe a right angle drill or a small drill bit and a impact driver to try to drill this through. And it's, you know, it's pretty easy. It's plastic, so well, if my battery wasn't dead, right through your ball sack, homie.
I tore my scrotum. I need you to take me to the hospital.
In the kit they give you these countersunk screws, which makes it easy to put on and tying down, and keeps it nice and flush so the belt doesn't rub. And they give you a nylon locking nut, so hopefully it never ever comes loose. So we'll put this one on, we'll tighten it down, and then we'll drill the hole for the other one. All right, so the top one, you will have to drill through the liner in order to get the screw in, because there's not a hole pre-drilled through the liner. So just get it as tight as possible like we have it here with the clamps. CJ is also gonna pull the liner towards him to try to spread it as best as possible. You want it nice and tight against the liner. That way the belt has no way of rubbing, and also when you're removing and installing your belt, you don't have issues because it's already a tight fit as it is. Let's see how it turned out.
I'll give you one pull.
Make sure you get all the shavings out. So you can see here, I think we did a good job. It's nice and tight there. The gap is pretty good. Another tiny gap here, but for the most part it's nice and tight against the housing, and I think it's gonna do really good. So all right, so we're gonna show you guys how to remove the old clutch housing. It's pretty simple with the right tools. Let's get to it. All right, so first things first, we're gonna remove all the ducts. They're 7mm or Phillips. The one at the back here is gonna be kind of a pain in the butt, because the air filter on the new 2020 and 2021s kind of takes up more space, and that is a little bit harder to get to, but I'll take that off with a screwdriver. Then you'll follow that up with removing all the screws for the cover, and they're 8mm, or I think it's a T30. There's nothing wrong with the cover. I did notice that usually there's an insulation piece in here that must have got ripped out when the belt blew, and they must have thrown it away, so no big deal. It's just for sound. You can see how bad it got damaged, broke and threw a hole through the back, and then same thing for the front. Also there's a little bit of rubber still on the sheaths. You want to clean that off with some Scotch-Brite. We'll get to that in a second. Can-Am does provide you with the belt removal tool, but it kind of sucks. So I bought this one a long time ago. It's made by AIS, which I'm sure is some sort of Chinese company, but it works freaking awesome, and I carry it with me on the car. So you'll see right now how simple it is. Once you spin it on there, you just pull it, and now the belt is loose, and you get the belt off. All right, in order to remove the secondary clutch, it's pretty easy. 17 millimeter. I use an impact, and it comes right off. This one just pulls off really easy. Looks like they have a bunch of anti-seize on there, but they're just spline. It's a spline shaft. You don't have to worry about using a puller. All right, to remove the primary clutch, you're gonna wanna remove this bolt. It's a 7/8. Then you're gonna install this puller. I've seen a few people on Facebook use pullers off Amazon, and they tend to end up buying twice. So buy a good puller. I'm gonna link one from KWI. This one's been pretty good. So really long bolt, you gotta remove that. So you install your puller. This is a 19 millimeter socket. And a real quick note, we have the car jacked up and the wheel removed, so the suspension is fully drooped down, which makes it easy to access this bolt. If you don't have the wheel removed and don't have, if the car's on the floor, this is gonna be in your way. It's really simple. Just remove the sway bar links on both sides and move the sway bar up. But we did this so we could make it easier for Timmy and me to record. We're gonna go ahead and try tying this down and see if it pulls it off. If we have issues and it doesn't pop off like I want it to, usually they pop off with the impact, but if it doesn't, we might use a little bit of grease or use bread. I seen Rick from Side by Side Blog use bread, and when it does, kind of hydro locks and pushes the puller in, and the puller pulls the clutch. Hard to explain, but if you use bread, stuff it in there, and it's easy to clean, easy to remove. Grease works great, but it's a pain in the ass to clean. You get it on your threads, and for whatever reason, the bolt might come loose because of the grease. So bread is a good option. I don't think we have any though, so let's see if it pops off. It popped right off. We've noticed that these impacts from Milwaukee, because they have so much power, that impact force will cause them to pop off. If you try doing it by hand, it becomes really difficult. So the reason we have to use a puller is because the crankshaft is tapered, which makes a really tight fit. So from here, we gotta remove the old housing. It's 8 of these 10 millimeters, 4 on each side. Then we'll pull it down, and that'll give me access to these 2 more, hose clamps here. So the wiring harness has some clips that are attached to the shaft. Other than that, there's another one back here. So, there it is. There's that one. Junky. All right, guys, real quick, do not forget to transfer the seals. Usually the seal for the transmission side stays on the transmission. It usually doesn't come off. It's an O-ring, and we'll show you guys that in just a second. But the one for the engine, this one's right here. And I probably shouldn't be using this, but pull that off and transfer it over, and that's it. All right, so the O-ring stays on the tranny. We'll leave that there. We're pretty much gonna stick this in there, push it on. And then the one on the back, I'm gonna reposition the clamp so I could get easier access to tighten it down. And then we'll line this guy up. We'll sit that on there like that. We'll install the bolts. Real quick note, the cover on the engine, they call it the PTO cover. You're gonna wanna make sure that you don't over torque the bolts, because it's actually really known for you to over torque the bolts. The plate kind of gets pulled towards, the outside here, and you get an oil leak. So make sure you don't over tighten those. I think I had read it was like 15 foot-pounds or something really small like that. So snug them up, and maybe a quarter turn, and that should be tight enough. What's up for? All right, all the bolts are tightened down. We'll do the reverse order. Install the primary clutch, torque it down, and same thing with the secondary. All right, so while we have the clutches out, just do a quick visual inspection. Make sure the sheaths don't have like burnt rubber stuck to them. If they do, just use a Scotch-Brite and clean them off. You don't have to go crazy. Just wipe off all that black tar that's on there from the belts. You can see it on here, but we're not worried about that. We're only worried if it's on the sheaths. Also, make sure you inspect all these little buttons and I believe there's like rubber seals as well. Just make sure nothing is damaged and nothing looks you know, out of the ordinary. So this X3 has fairly low miles, and everything looks like it's pretty well in good shape. So we're gonna go ahead and reinstall this. Make sure your shaft is nice and clean. If you need to, again, use some Scotch-Brite just to make sure it's nice and clean. We'll put this back on. There is a torque for that primary clutch, but I always just hit it with an impact and we haven't had any issues. Except for that kind of issue right there. All right, the secondary clutch. Also, you know, clean it out, blow it out if you have to. Just do a visual inspection. Normally what always goes bad on these, besides the tar and the sheaths, like I was saying earlier, is these rollers. Sometimes they break off. These are all intact, and we're gonna go ahead and reinstall this. There's total 4 boots on these clutch housing and cover, 2 intake and 2 exhaust. One of those intake is gonna be on the actual cover. Reinstall the other 3, and then once you put the cover on, after you put the belt on, we'll install the last one, which is this guy here. All right, there it is. All right, guys, that's pretty much it. Reinstall your belt. It's gonna be a little tighter here, look at that. As you can see there, it is a little tighter now that the liner is in there. But release that guy there. All right, guys, once you install your bolt, make sure you turn the secondary a couple times to get that to push back off. So looks like it's good. We'll make sure that the alignment, or not the alignment, but the spacing between the belt and the liner is good. And it looks pretty damn good. I'm happy with it. So it doesn't look like it's gonna rub anywhere. I'll put on the cover and we'll finish this up.
5 minutes later.
All right, guys, that's it for this video. Go to Geiser Performance, UTV.com. Save yourself 10% on a liner like the one we installed, or some of the other badass parts that they offer. And we'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out. Hey, this one feels faster than mine. It's the same single R.
Why?
My yonke is just fucking clapped out already, fool.
Nah, fuck.
I bought new spark plugs and stuff. This one feels quick.